Okay, and we are live again. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is an exciting day. Geek Christmas, as I've been telling everybody I ran into today. The .NET conference is in full swing, and .NET Core 3.0 is finally released. So, no more preview builds. The full release is finally here, and there are lots of updates and lots of exciting stuff. So, going to go through a couple things tonight before diving back into the material design library. First and foremost, getting everything updated to the latest .NET Core 3.0 release. So the first thing to note, if you haven't done it yet, let me switch here real quick. There we go. Okay, so if you have not downloaded the latest version of .NET Core, either chocolatey install it or .net.microsoft.com/download. That will get you to the download page, and then grab the version of the SDK that lines up with your operating system. In this case, I'm on Windows, so I'm going to grab the .NET Core SDK. You should see something that looks like 3.0.100 that comes in there. So if anybody's looking to catch up on sort of the breadth of everything that happened, there is a whole bunch of videos that Microsoft has put up as well. So the simple link to them is .net/videos. A link in the chat. I've also got some stuff on my Twitter that I've been trying to share out as exciting announcements come through. So trying to think of all of the exciting stuff. So there was a whole bunch of the announcements in regard to C#8 that is coming. And the big thing coming down the pipe with that is nullable reference types. So just for anybody who's unfamiliar with that, in all prior versions of C#, reference types or classes or objects always had a default value of null. For C#8, there's an opt-in flag that you can turn on where that actually inverts that premise on its head. So reference types are then explicitly not null unless you say otherwise. So similar to how you could take like a value type and add a question mark to make it nullable, the same thing will then be true of reference types as well. So unless you declare that it's nullable, you'll have to assign it an actual value. So it doesn't do anything to actually prevent no reference exceptions at runtime, but it does then give the compiler a lot of information to hopefully go through and find most of your potential no reference exceptions at compile time and give you warnings so that you can go through and fix it. So I think next week I'm going to look at going through and turning that on the material design library just to get that fired up and see how many things it catches. Hopefully not too many bugs, crossing fingers. But we'll see how it goes and actually take a look at what the process is for getting that turned on and actually running. So to start tonight off, because we are doing .NET Core 3.0 final release now, I was going to go through and start with updating the pipeline on material design in XAML. And kind of take another brief look at just the pipelines in general and how they work. So if you haven't done anything with Azure pipelines, hopefully this will be a pretty good introduction on where to get going to start. So when in doubt, dev.azure.com or devops.azure.com will redirect as well. And sign in or sign up for Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps has a free tier that's very generous. So if you're just looking to play around and see what it can do, sign up, take it for a spin. And especially if you're doing open source projects, the offerings for free public open source projects are incredibly generous with unlimited a lot of things. I don't quite know, or I can't remember all the details without looking them up, so I'm not going to try and quote them here. But unlimited public repos, build time, etc., etc. So in this case, for the material design project on DevOps, the library itself obviously lives out on GitHub. So we're just using DevOps to host our CI and CD pipelines. So that's continuous integration or continuous delivery pipelines. So the continuous integration portion of it comes from the build pipeline. So there's two separations of pipelines here. The build pipelines are primarily purposed around creating something, usually producing some sort of artifacts that can then be distributed out, whereas the release pipelines are primarily concerned with taking those artifacts from the build pipelines or other sources and distributing them somewhere. So in our case, this is the primary pipeline that we have to work with. If you look in the root of the, and I'll just pull it up here real quick. At the root of the, I'm just going to check. I made the mistake of updating my Visual or my .NET Core SDK, and then realized that in order to use it, I have to have the updated version of Visual Studio. So don't update your .NET Core SDK unless you're actually ready to update all your things. So the material design library, jump on over here. Go, go, go. Go, Google, go. If you look in the root of the repo, there is an Azure pipelines.yaml file. And when you go through and actually create a build pipeline using the default YAML syntax, it'll actually inject this at the root of your repo. So we've got all of this stuff going on here. Great, awesome. Let's jump back. I'm noticing this has a PR on a release branch. Do we even have a release branch, or is this just a holdover from copy and paste deal that I did? We do have a release branch. Oh, right. That is probably a holdover from when we were on AppVer and can probably get removed. Anyway, so back to this. We are going to edit our pipeline. And it'll go through and take it just a moment. But the YAML file that it's going to load up here should hopefully look identical to the one that we just saw, because we are looking at the master branch. So as soon as it figures it out, great. There we go. We build on a Windows box. Any CPU, build configuration is AppVer. This is something that ultimately I want to go through and change. It's the last remnants of AppVer left in the code base. It doesn't really need to be here anymore. AppVer is a great build system, but sometimes you have to set up some unusual knobs and widgets for special configurations for it, and this is how it was done before. But this is the one that we're most interested in. So one of the first steps that it executes is to go through and install a particular version of .NET Core. So use .NET Core SDK. And so we are going to switch this guy over here, and I think what we can do is actually just do this. And let's change the display name to match. I think this will work. I'm pretty confident. We're going to just try it and verify. But then for the build pipeline, it'll execute various steps. So it installs the version of .NET Core that we ask for. It goes and downloads a particular version of NuGet for us. Let's see. I'm going to change the name of this while I'm in here. Latest NuGet, because it's not actually 4.3.0 because we haven't specified a version for the NuGet installer. It then runs a NuGet restore on the root of the repo, which goes through and pulls in everything we need. It then does a .NET restore, targeting the solution, and then finally executes packet restore. I'm actually a little curious why. I might have to go and check. I think the only reason for this NuGet restore stuff is some of the unit test projects I don't think are fully leveraging packet, and they probably should be. There's kind of a double-edged sword with using packet in that it adds complexity, but it also solves some issues with, oh man, I'm just finding all kinds of bugs. So our configuration down here is also set to AppFair, but it really should be using build configuration. Don't hard code variables. Use the variables available to you. So after it does the .NET restore and the packet restore, it actually gets around to the compiling portion of it. So it runs .NET build, targeting our solution file. Why is this not using dollars? Man, we're just gonna fix all kinds of stuff while we're in here. So that should use the same solution variable there. Great. When in doubt, do not repeat yourself. So it runs the build, then goes through and runs .NET test to kick off all of the unit tests and verify everything is still working. Then this is a bit of a holdover based upon how the new specs were set up. The ones that are checked into the library make assumptions on file paths and expect files to be in particular directories for AppFair. So this was a bit of a holdover just to avoid having to change those as well. At some point, I think I'm just going to get the file copying moved over and change these new specs so that they don't have to work this way. But after it goes through and copies all these files over, it then takes those directories and publishes them as artifacts. So it's just going to zip up a full folder and publish that folder up. And then ultimately the release pipeline is going to take that folder and create NuGet packages out of them and set version numbers, whether preview releases or final releases. So hit save. Let's see. Updated to .NET Core 3.0. Fixed usages of how about solution variable. Great. Save and commit, and then hopefully we see this guy kick off and be off and running to the races. And so that should have saved, and then because we have CI set up, oh, look at this. There's actually a pull request build in progress already. So it looks like pull request for changing the new specs. Well, since we are here, let's go and take a look at that, because I know that was an issue that got logged. I think it was last week. Basically, there's a warning NUse 1602 that I had not caught because of the way the new spec versions are set up. So this hopefully should just change those. So inclusive lower bound. Let's make that a little bigger, shall we? So changing it from exclusive lower bound to inclusive lower bound, inclusive lower bound. I think I want to double check. I think that's correct. I'm only questioning this 251 version number, and I'm trying to. I know I wrote it down in. That version number I think might need to be bumped one. So let's see. Like. Thank you very much. And let's go and check, because I think if I remember correctly, 251 there was a bug in it, or was it 250? It's whatever is not quite the latest. So let's just look. Design. The NuGet package name is Material Design Themes. So we've got preview releases that go out. So every day where there are changes, the pipeline will automatically kick out a release and send it out the door. Let's see. So 260 blah blah blah. Older. 251. 251 would have been the bug fix release. So that's acceptable. So let's check this. So this is the Ma Apps one. Minimum required is 251 and 120. I think. Let me check. I'm thinking there's a version mismatch here. So let's see. Let's go back to 260, which is the current release. Because in 260 there was a bunch of theming changes, and I know there was. Let's see. So. Yeah, so this is very close. I believe. Let's see. Can we change the lower bound of this to be 260. Add a single comment because this in 260 we changed the theming library or the way theming is done, and there was several changes that had to go into both the colors library as well as the themes library, and so 120 has the latest. And let me just confirm that. Maybe I shouldn't do this from memory. But I believe 120 is the latest colors release. Yeah, because 121 is the CI release. So 120 is the 120 is the latest release here. So this guy has the latest stuff for all of the theming and color changes. And so if we're going to set that as the minimum on him, we're going to need the at least 260 material design themes here. So that should take care of that, and let's jump back and check our build pipeline. And so that build passed. So the PR technically passed, but I think we just need the version change, and that should be fine. And then version should be valid and explicit version. Well, that is pretty obvious. So let's jump back here. For some reason I thought you could do minor version revs like that, but let's change it real quick. We can go back because it should be 30100 just based on the link of what's here. There is a nice PowerShell script floating around on GitHub for installing various versions of .NET Core. So let's do 3.100. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's actually version this off. .NET Core version. So let's do 3.100 because I don't want to have to think too hard about making sure that I get this right every time. .NET Core version. We'll take that version number and just drop it in here. Okay, save using sit .NET Core version. Okay, save and build. And hopefully Visual Studio hurries up. Whew, is there a dialogue it's waiting on or something? It is. It has been at the same spot for a very, very long time. I don't see a dialogue anywhere. Just going to minimize this and make sure I'm not missing anything obvious. Nope. Oh, I do have a lot. It's still sitting on this uninstalling .NET Core UWP stuff. So unfortunately, I have quite a few of the workloads installed in Visual Studio. So I've got Xamarin, I've got UWP, I do WPF, and everything in between. So when it goes to do an update, I usually have to install quite a few things. Just check and make sure that this guy is chugging along at an appropriate rate. Okay, well, worst case scenario, we have lots of pull requests to do. Ah, wonderful. Already fixed. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So this guy here, let's see, failed after 24 seconds. That's not a good sign. That means my build pipeline's broken. Let's see here. Okay, what's going on? What is going on? You can refer to the supported versions, blah, 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 blah. Let's look here. So this is the unless I'm getting the version number wrong. This is the, I believe, the same JSON file that script that I mentioned goes out and looks for. Okay, so big blob of JSON, and we are looking for 3.0.0, and I want something without a preview. Let's see, next. Preview 3, blah, 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 blah. Keep going. It says preview, that says preview. Come on. Preview. I just have to go check my build task. Come on, where are you? We're back at the top. Interesting. No. I know I saw this work in their demos today. I know it's there. It should work. So let's go back in and let's double check this step, because it should be in the pipelines. Unless the VM image that I'm using doesn't have it yet. Maybe? But I didn't think that should have been a problem. Okay, so this wonderful editor that they have built for the YAML files, you can click these little settings links right above it, and it opens over here. .NET Core Runtime Installer. Let's see here. Let's see. .NET Core. Ah, I'm using the wrong task. That's the problem. There is a different task for this. So, version, and this might be, so we can uncheck this, add. Use .NET, yeah, so this is the guy that needs to go away. Got it, okay. Well, this nice little GUI that they have built worked wonderfully. So let's first change this up. I always like to put display names on these things. Let's see, display name, use .NET, and I think we're just going to go back to our variable .NET Core version, and I think I want to go back and try it, because I'm pretty sure that this allowed wildcards, at least on the minor revision, so that you can always be up on the latest. I was only able to sort of mildly pay attention to the .NET Comp videos this morning. Oop, not what I wanted. And so I'm hoping, fix my spelling error, that this works, except for you do have to make sure you use the right version number, because this should let it go through and pick up. So switching to new build task for .NET Core. So hopefully this guy, and I realize I just misspelled .NET Core, but oh well. Oh good, Visual Studio is now chugging right along once it got past the little hang up. Okay, so back to builds. Back to builds. And then hopefully once this builds, we'll go and merge in this PR, because it looks like it is in and done. There is probably some work that actually needs to happen on these new specs for the 3.0 release. This will fix it for the 2.6 stuff. We're not necessarily going to publish a new package for it. Actually, that reminds me. So while that guy's thinking about, well, let's first just check it and make sure. So I'm being scatterbrained. Let's go back to our build pipeline and if we click on to one of the individual builds from the build pipeline, we can see that it actually pulled down. Perfect. And it does allow for this. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So there's another step in the build pipelines that I'm wondering, because I know we do some fancy munging with PowerShell on the new specs, and I'm wondering, because this stuff isn't checked into the repo, if that, let me just check this. Update new specs. This is something that probably should get included. Update includes, replace. Oh, so this doesn't fix the versions. This only goes through and changes. Got it. So does that mean, even though I've got the 3.0 preview release, it's still got the lower dependency? Let's look. I think that's probably what that means. So I'm interested in my latest 3.0 preview release. Dependencies. It does have the same. Okay, so this will address that. Okay, excellent. It is a little weird having the 3.0 release, but I'm guessing if people are downloading preview NuGet packages, they're probably revving all of them. Because you probably, I don't know this for a fact, but I would be shocked if you were able to take the 1.2.0 colors release and pair it with the 3.0 preview release out the door. Okay, back to builds. And hopefully this guy is chugging right along. So I don't expect too many problems here. Mostly just wanting to make sure that there's nothing in this library that breaks on .NET Core 3. Now, given that we were on, I think, Preview 9 when we started this, and there hasn't been a lot of changes, I suspect that this should just work out of the box. There's no fancy code in here. We're not doing anything special. We worked on Preview 9. Should be fine. Should be fine. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so this guy is probably going in to the 3.0 milestone. Let's see. Great. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And this guy here. So if you ever submit a pull request and the build fails for any reason, you can always come in here and there's this wonderful Rerun Checks button. And so you can just manually kick the pipeline into gear and say, hey, try again. Which there are times where sometimes the pipelines just fail for any number of reasons that may or may not be legitimate failures. Most of the time we go out of our way to try and make this as robust and reliable as possible, but it doesn't always work out that way. Okay, so given that, let's go back here. Since we're waiting on this build to finish, I'm going to kick this guy over. Given that the previous build for this worked, I'm less concerned with rerunning the checks. I'll just merge it in directly once this build finishes, and I'm confident that we're back into a working state. And we'll just get that guy merged. But in the meantime, so let's kill these guys. And let's go and look at some of the 3.0 milestone pull requests. Because we want to try and get this 3.0 release out the door. So this guy, this pull request will resolve this issue. Great. There are several issues that I've gone through and added to Hacktoberfest. So for people who didn't hear about Hacktoberfest last week on the stream, I'm very excited for it. So it's something DigitalOcean and GitHub get together and do at least the last several years. But it's basically a month-long event in October to try and get people excited and interested in contributing to open source projects. So if you've never contributed before, this is a great opportunity. you're going to find a bunch of issues across all kinds of repos flagged with the Hacktoberfest label. And these generally align really well with the good first issue label that you see used in a lot of places, meaning that they're usually well defined in scope of what needs to happen and fairly explicit about what the changes are expecting. Most of them tend to be smallish in nature and usually designed to be that good entry bar. So if you're looking for something to get in and help out on, this is a great way to do it. As an added perk for motivation, they give out stickers and t-shirts. I believe it's if you get 5 pull requests for things flagged with the Hacktoberfest label, um, we'll get it. We'll get it for you. The thing to look for is so when you create a pull request, just like was done in this pull request here, you want to make sure that you leave a comment that tags the issue number that you're resolving. And so the key thing is the issue needs to be tagged with that Hacktoberfest label, and then your pull request needs to link back to it so that there's some connection between your pull request and the issue that's being resolved. So GitHub will also see this comment and automatically resolve the issue once we merge it, which is wonderful. Oh, thank you. My lovely wife bringing me more snacks, because that's what I needed was extra sugar this late at night. So if you are interested, link in the chat. But there is a place to sign up to get yourself added to it, to get notified when it starts up. But just about a week out. So we are, since it's starting on a Tuesday, probably next Monday I'm going to make sure that there's even more issues flagged with it. I do try to go through the Hacktoberfest or all of the issues and look for all the good first issue ones and label them that way. If you submit a pull request for an issue in October, I do try to retroactively go through and apply the Hacktoberfest label. So even if it's not an issue that directly has the label on it, I try to apply it because I figure people should get credit for it if you're submitting it. Even if it's not one that I had initially tagged as a good first issue or a Hacktoberfest issue. If you submit a pull request for an open issue, I will tag it. And if I don't, just leave me a comment and ask me to do so. And I am happy to bring those in. Again, it's all about trying to get people excited and comfortable contributing to open source projects. And so if anybody has any issues or questions about how to get involved or how to contribute to either this library or pretty much any library on GitHub, please shoot me a message. I am happy to help unblock you and make you feel like you can be productive in contributing. So that is the whole Hacktoberfest thing. So coming back here, let's see. So I was trying to look through. There's a couple issues in here. There was one in particular that I want, or an issue that I want to look at, but I can't until my Visual Studio finishes installing. Which apparently, if you have all the workloads installed, it is dog slow. Package 513 of 743. Yeah, just a couple to install there. So I'll set you on the side. Don't want to look at you right now. Okay, let's see here. I was wondering, why am I not? So let's see. Pull request, issue. Pull request. Snack bar message duration override. That one's probably worth looking at. Checkbox resize, fix multi-line text box height. And this one I need to come back to. We need to do something with the typography in this library, and I think the 3.0 release is the right time to do it. They changed the default font in the material design specification, and unfortunately, most people will just call it like material design 2, or some people will reference when it was released. Regardless, it makes it kind of awkward because I can certainly change out the font in the library, but anybody using it, that ends up breaking them. Do you bundle both? So there's all this kind of weird stuff, and I believe I want to fix it in this 3.0 release since it will be a breaking change regardless of what I do, because I don't think leaving it as is the right answer. So there will be some change. I just don't know what it needs to be. Okay, so pipeline's back in a happy state. So we are going to come back here. We are going to merge this pull request. Have one more. Let's see. Great work. Thank you for the contribution. Boom. And I'm an admin, so we don't need a passing build, but we can just force it right on through. Great. Okay, so and that got marked in the 3.0 milestone, which is what we want, which means, poof, a few more things drop off. So we've already got 40 closed items in the 3.0 release, so it's already building up fairly quickly. And there are, so one other issue to be aware of, this 13.01, I'm using this sort of as a reminder list of all of the breaking changes that I'm putting in that are coming down the pipe. So be aware there will be changes that may or may not affect you in your app if you've made certain assumptions. Default values on various properties are going to be changing because these ones have been problematic and confusing for people, and they don't match what most WPF controls are. So I believe they need to be changed. Hopefully these will be less confusing for people since they hopefully will make a little bit more sense. Or things like the pop-up box defaults to mouse over eager, which is not necessarily what people expect. People use it as like the action button icon a lot. And so, or the three elliptical dots. And so in both of those cases, most of the time people are expecting click behavior, not mouse over trigger behavior. The palette helper methods are all going away. They were marked obsolete with the 2.6.0 release in favor of the new API. There's some obsolete members in SmartHint. There's some more obsolete members than the dialog host code. And then we're going to rename the combo box column to just be data grid combo box column. Prefixing it with material doesn't add anything since you already have to namespace the control out anyway. So we're just going to drop that and have the naming match a little bit nicer. So all of those, and then this change down here for making sure we get the default alignment on all of these correct so that they don't look so funky. So some of those changes are going to be coming shortly. So let's see here. Snack bar message duration. Let's just review this guy. So first off, right out the gate, demo app change. So let's see. So what do we got in here? Background color on the border. I don't know if this is strictly necessary. I believe this is the same background that's set on the window itself. So once we're done installing, we can confirm that. So I don't know if it's not a problem, but I don't think it's helping anybody. But let's keep going. It's probably a copy from the previous examples up here. Would be my guess. So let's see. Stack panel centered up all the way. Text block. Example 7. Text block. The message show duration is controlled by the message queue, but can be overridden for a specific message. So let's see, slider message. Oh, okay, cool. So you can change the slider to adjust how long it is. So 1 to 10 defaults at 5. Tick frequency is every 10th. So what is that? 100 different positions in there. Let's see, override slider, and shows 1 decimal point. Nice. Snack bar on click, and then snack bar 7 on click, which then the code behind it grabs the slider's value and uses that to convert to seconds. So you can have it be short or really long. Nice. Spelling mistake fixes. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. Let's see here. Great. is looking good. Let's see, NQ message, nullable time span for duration override. I'm wondering if that should just be called duration. I don't know if override adds much value to it. Minor thing to think about. So let's see here. Same thing on several of these methods, adding it. It is interesting to me. Oh, this is on the snack bar. We have the XML comments. I should probably start logging issues to add XML comments to all of the public APIs. Let's see. So, and then when it actually creates the queue item, null propagation operator or null forwarding operator, I think, is the official terminology. Is it null forwarding? I have to look. So either the one passed in or the message duration, which message duration was initially done here, but now it's using the items duration. Then was using message duration here, now using the items duration. This means duration comes in on the item itself, which is a time span. And this guy here should be a read-only property. I wonder, do you let me just... Oh, you do. Excellent. Look at this. We can just edit these guys right in line. Oh, GitHub, you are amazing to me. So we can make this a read-only property because we've seen all of its usages. So let's see. Updating duration to be a read-only property. Commit changes. Oh, that is so awesome. Oh, GitHub, you make me so happy right now. Oh, that is absolutely amazing. Oh, so much easier. Don't need no stinking IDE. GitHub's web interface is awesome enough so that you don't need it. Cool. Cool. I'm thinking this looks good. So, I think what we are going to do, so that build is queued up now that I just made a change. Because whenever you push a change to a new branch, let's see. Let's see, we'll approve it. And then I'm pretty confident nothing's going to break. But I've been confident before and gotten bit for it. So we're going to wait until that build finishes. And assuming that build goes through just fine, we'll go ahead and merge that in. There's probably some testing that needs to happen. I usually try to test these changes as they go in, but given that I don't have a Visual Studio right now, that's a little difficult. So, I mean, we can check the results of the build pipeline. I can download the demo app straight from that. But we'll just carry on our merry way and see what we got going on here. Commit for checkbox resize. So this one, I believe, is... So the only problem with this comment is I don't think this will actually link. We're going to look. Checkbox resize, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it does link them together. So I don't know if it'll actually mark it as fixed. Let's see. So there is a comment here saying that messes with the content, making it invisible. So let's see what the change is. We've got one person. Well, hold on. Why would that... So I can see... So there is some potential for this to break the displaying of the content. So let's look at this. So default style for checkbox. So the material design checkbox style is the default one based on target type. Great. Default property setters for width and height. Should adjust that. Let's expand this out a little bit more because I'm curious So there is a view box. Oh, yeah. So the problem being here that the width and height properties, and so this can be something that gets a little hairy in WPF. There are some properties that inherently cascade down or affect the children. But what will happen in this case, so if you set the width and the height, these are used for measuring the control and also for the layout. So even though these template bindings, I'm sure, are being applied directly to the view box, the problem is they're also being applied to the checkbox itself, which means this view box will effectively take up the entire size of the space allocated for the checkbox, leaving no space for this content designer. Which begs the question, how should we do this? I am thinking that a better approach would be to do an attached property, maybe? Because an attached property would give us the ability to change the size of the checkbox without affecting the entire control. That's probably a better fix because there's not a lot of control over just the box size itself in WPF. Yeah. So what was it previously? Because previously both the width and the height were being set. Did I put... Let's see here. Did I put a comment on here as far as what... A lot of times I have to leave comments on issues. So if somebody sees me logging what I think needs to happen, don't take that as gospel. Sometimes it's just a note for me so that I can remember what I was thinking. Let's see. So Albert left a comment on here. Add the setters for the height and width with the current values. Change these out. So this is where they came from. Without workarounds. Yeah, so this works, but it only works unless you have content in your checkbox. Yeah, so this comment appears to be correct. So, thumbs up there. I think we're gonna have to close this out. So let's put a comment on here. Above solution will work. As it will give the checkbox portion of the control the entire size as a comment on PR. What is it? 1286. 1286 indicates. Let's see. This effectively leaves the content hidden. Okay, so that'll get us there. Let's see. So what is the correct solution then is the next question that comes along. So let's actually log this because I had put good first issue on there without actually considering the effects of all of those steps. So one, thank you very much for the pull request. Just because a pull request doesn't get merged, don't let that discourage you. Because it is a learning process for all of us, myself included. Okay, so let's go checkbox. We don't have a checkbox assist, do we? think what we want to do is create an attached property and a checkbox assist class. So in this library, the assist classes are basically attached property holders where you can go through and set stuff up on them. Typically, the assist classes correspond to the control name. So control thingy that you're trying to modify, assist is the magical incantation. Okay, so I think for this we want to do the following. So let's see. Add a new checkbox assist class with an attached property of type double with the name checkbox size, because I think putting the restriction on there that the checkbox must be a box is reasonable. If this doesn't meet if somebody has a use case where you actually need control over the width and the height to make them different sizes, let me know. But even so, the check that goes inside of it is expecting to be inside of a square control, so I don't think it makes a lot of sense to allow the width and height to be different. So one property, we'll just apply it to both the width and the height with the name checkbox size. You can use the let's see, toggle button assist as an example. Let's see. In the material design checkbox style, set the default value of the attached property to be 18. Let's see here. I'd love to find a quick example of setting an attached property in because I try to when I'm setting these up, I do try to find examples in the library for people to learn from, because it's not just about trying to get people to contribute to the library. I want people to actually learn how to do this stuff and how to build it. So I try to make sure that there are examples. So this is an example of an attached property, but I was kind of thinking that's a built-in attached property. Kind of want to pick on one that's one of ours, which I don't think I'm going to find one here. Toggle button we just saw had some, which means there's almost assuredly, yeah. There we go. Let's see. You can see an example of setting an attached property in a setter here. Hopefully this comment doesn't get stale. Let's see. And then finally, use bindings on the view box to apply the, let's do checkbox assist dot checkbox size to both the height and width. This will require using a binding, not a template binding. So template bindings can't bind to attached properties. But what you can do is do a binding with a relative source templated parent, which is close to the same thing ish. It gets the same result. The difference being that a template binding will apply it effectively when this template is compiled, whereas a relative source binding like this will do the determination at runtime. So it'll effectively end up as the same result, but it won't. But there is a fundamental difference as to why that doesn't work. You can example of this here. Okay, so comment on the issue. Let's see here. Is the correct fix for this? See, I updated comment on so let's see. So we are going to close this guy out just like that. So if you want to go through, so the other thing that's worth noting, if you want to go through and push an updated change to this pull request, I'm very happy. Bossog. If you do push more changes to a pull request, feel free to go through and reopen it. Just because something gets closed, if you believe that there's still a thing there, feel free to reopen issues if there's new information, new changes, etc. I've been trying to close things out as liberally as I can just to try to get things down, because stale issues, stale pull requests that aren't likely to get merged don't help anyone. So since this one's actually labeled up fairly well, I'm going to throw the Hacktoberfest label on there as well. Okay, so that takes care of that. That takes care of that. Snack bar message queue. All of these ones pass. Great, great, great. Squash and merge. And squash and merge. That guy should go through. I'm going to leave this sort of pinned on my browser so I remember to go through and test this once my Visual Studio finally catches up with me. It is now up to the installing UWP libraries, which apparently take a little bit of time. Great. Okay, so let's take a look at another one. Fix multi-lines text box height. So I guess step one, let's look at the issue that this is addressing. I think I remember this in that, let's see, add new text box with accept return true and enough height to show more than one line. Oh, right. So basically the vertical content alignment isn't setting up correctly. So let's see what the change is here. So checkbox column. This has multiple change. Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember this one. This is the one where it had two changes in here, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, so let's go back, because I can kick out these extra changes, but I don't want to lose the other fix. So I want to go and check all my pull requests real quick. Let's see, so I don't care about open or close, but I do care about pull requests. I think it's just author name, if I remember right. I think that's the way it works. Okay, so is editable, and this one's already been merged. Great, so I should be able to kick out those other changes. Okay, perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. So I believe what we can do is we can just, let's see, kick out that file. So get him out of the diff. Moving changes that went in that were added in another PR. I do wish GitHub would let me batch these. That would be convenient. Okay, and so then data grid combo box. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh. Let's do this. Let's do this. Actually, you know what? Get cracking. We're just going to do this with get cracking. So, main library. And pull request 1297. We'll just do this here because I believe, let's see, 1297. I think if I just rebase onto latest, that will probably fix 1297. Great. And in general, if you are submitting pull requests and fixes back to the library, it usually is a good idea to make a branch and not just pull requests back from your master branch. That certainly works, and it's fine if you want to do it, but it does make it difficult if you want to fix more than one thing at a time. So the normal workflow is you get your master branch synced up with the main master branch, and then you create a new branch off of that for each issue or pull request that you want to open up. Okay, so 1297, my branch is now synced. And let's just rebase this guy. And there is almost certainly conflicts because I just did bad things. Okay, so let's figure out where this is going here. So this is the change in question. So let's see. Text field assist has filled text field. Has filled text field. This is true, false. Oh boy, what did we do? 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 Okay. So abort rebase. Let's just do a couple things real quick. First, let's fix my stupidness. So I'm going to reset back to here. Push and rewrite history. Great, that sounds wonderful. Force push covers over a multitude of mistakes. Okay, so that gets me back to there. Okay, now let's go through and take a quick look. So before I get carried away, so if we refresh this, this change should go back to what it was, and then we'll see about isolating that out. In fact, let's see. So merge conflict. Yeah, so some of these other ones here. Okay, let's take a look. So this goes back. This is now back how it was. Great, great, great. So this was actually a removal of this to change these two conditions. Boy, I don't know if I know enough to... this looks like something that I'm going to actually have to... And I'm actually going to have to fire this up and test because I cannot tell from looking at this if these conditions are correct. They look close, yes, I think, but I am not 100% confident. So, or at least not confident enough to merge this without running. So I think this one we're going to have to come back to. Okay, so let's go back and let's check these guys out here. Okay, so let's back up to the top, add scroll bar to expander. So this was an interesting one. So our expander controls have a bunch of animation that goes along with them. However, the bug in question, let's see, fixes 1395. So it is worth noting, if you have these changes up here, or this comment up here, it doesn't actually link these two issues together. So, or it did. Just puts the hyperlink down below. This should bring us back over. So I believe on this issue, somebody had put the expander control inside of a list box and had noticed that the default WPF one actually has a nice scroll bar, whereas ours does not. Which means when this thing sizes, it gets huge, things go off the screen, and virtualization doesn't occur, and things go crazy. Things go crazy. And it looks like from this, he took the exact same demo app that was provided here. Thank you for the demo app, by the way. I love issue reports where people have attached sample reproduction projects. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Makes my life so much easier if I can just link to a repo and go. Okay, so let's look at what changed here. So inside of our expander template, let's make this a little bigger. I want to see some context. I want to see a little bit more context. Bigger, bigger, bigger. So there's my control template. Visual State Manager, great, great, great. And then this brings this down to here. So vertical scroll bar visibility, auto. Let's see. I really wish I could drag this center bar and resize this. So horizontal alignment, or horizontal content alignment, vertical content alignment, margin for the padding. This looks, oh, I see, this aligns with what we had previously, so it is just the scroll viewer is the new bit here. This matches all of this, all the way down there. That matches. Content presenter. Great. I don't know why it put this blank line here. It's like something wrapped, and I got an extra line of blank characters. Let's see. Content template. That. Scroll viewer. Dock panel. Oh, this is the expander direction. Okay. And this was just cleaning up white space. This looks like an easy pull request. I think this looks wonderful. And I recognize this AMRO 045. He's contributed several times to the library. So if you're watching this, thank you very much. I do appreciate all of your help and contributions. Let's see. Great work. Or contribution. Let's see. Comment. This guy's already in there, and I'm pretty sure. Okay. I want to see what GitHub does, because I don't know if it closes the issue when this happens. We're going to find out. And once again, I'm just going to pin this as one that I want to go through and test in the demo app, but just to make sure. It did automatically close it. Cool. Sweet. Okay. Did not know that would work like that. It makes me feel a lot better. Okay, sweet. So that gets us that much closer. That much closer. And it is worth noting that just because something is in this milestone, I'm never saying that this issue will definitely be fixed and released in this milestone. It does mean that I promise to look at it during the milestone and then go through and address it. So let's see. Let's see, time picker. Trying to see if any of these other pull requests need to be pulled in. This one is the demo app, so I'm a little less concerned about whether that one needs to be pulled in or not, because that can be done just about any time. Implement round corner text box. I think, let's see what this one's actually doing. Hey, look at that. Visual Studio, you have finally finished. An hour later. That didn't take long at all. So be aware, and your update will probably go quicker. But if you have all the workflows installed, or at least a bunch of them, specifically UWP seemed to be a slow one, it could take a while when you do your update. So don't do it when you have something mission critical to get done. Let's see. When applying large radius corner. Interesting. Okay, and I think this was part of why this one didn't get pulled in, is there's file conflicts. And I am not... This is one that's going to take some individual review. So that one we're not pulling in. Just right out of the gate, at least. Oh, I was trying to go through and did not mean to lose this one. Wanted to make sure that I keep my pin tabs as my to-do list for... These are ones I should go and verify in the demo app. So there will be a preview NuGet package that drops in about 4 or 5 hours from the CI system. So just be aware. So all of these fixes that we get in here tonight. Added open mode for draw host or drawer host. I think some of these are a little old. My goal is, especially since this list is getting down so small, only 14 pull requests, I want to close out all of these pull requests and get them down to 0. That would make me very, very happy. Why did this one not get pulled in? Should take a look at this. This one seems like disable text box border thickness bug fix. Fixes bug number 893. Let's take a look at this one real quick, because some of these, like the cleaner and easier it is to review the pull request, the more likely I am to merge it right away. So the larger and more convoluted the change is, the longer it's going to take. So let's see here. Files changed. All right, so there was an outstanding question on it, which is probably why. That's why, because I had outstanding question and conflicts, and those need to be addressed. So need to come back to that at some point. Added async handling. Let's see, support use color zone in there. So there was a... This was the other one that I said I was going to look at. That's what it was. Because this issue was marked, but there were, let's see, adds a data grid as described to the demo app. The tab control currently has the same issue as the toggle switch. They only show the color from the design after it was changed in the palette. So let's take a look. So what do we got? On the Ma Apps tab, let's see, Metro single row tab control. And some of this is hard because I know Ma Apps has a 2.0 release that is in the works that's going to break a lot of APIs. It's well documented, all of the breaking changes that are coming, but that doesn't make it any easier to stomach right now. So this is a fairly simple and straightforward fix. let's actually take a look at this one. I gotta clear out some of my extra remotes. Let's pull up our master since we just did another change, and let's switch over. Did I open two of them? I apparently opened two of them. Oops. Or maybe the installer remembered which solution I had open and just kicked it off again. So 1348. Okay. Let's go over here. See, wonderful PR, and we're gonna pop this open because I did comment on the issue for this earlier. I was going through a bunch of issues way too late last night and completely missed that there was a PR link to it, and was asking questions saying, "Hey, is this still a work in progress?" And it was like, yeah, there's an open PR. I was like, oh, oops. Sorry, it was late. I was tired. I didn't have enough Mountain Dew. There is a running joke that a programmer is literally just an organism that converts caffeine into code, which I think is very true in my case. I also love it, and I love caffeine, so that kind of works out well. And I have just a small Mountain Dew addiction. What you aren't seeing is the 3 empty cans sitting to my left from earlier. Okay. Come on, fire up. So this makes me happy that the .NET Core 3 transition was literally just changing the version number, and then that small task change to use the newer .NET Core task rather than the old one, and that was it. So the short version, .NET Core 3, easy to upgrade to if you were using the preview builds. They did comment in the .NET conference earlier today that if you have an older app that's on framework, you're not doing a lot of updates to it, it's sort of running in maintenance mode, that they recommend not updating to .NET Core. I mostly agree with that. If your app really is just in maintenance mode, there's not really a good compelling reason to spend a bunch of time and effort upgrading it to Core. Now, with that said, if there's newer features that you want, clearly a lot of the performance benefits and development effort that Microsoft is doing is going into .NET Core. But Scott Hunter mentioned today, .NET Framework's still going to be around, still going to be supported. So don't worry about things like that. But if it's some of the newer features or functionality that you want, just be aware that all of that sort of new development work is going into the .NET Core. It's also worth noting we now kind of have 2 different versions of WPF. We've got the WPF framework, which is what we've been loving all of these years, but now we have WPF built on .NET Core. So the WPF built on .NET Core has all of the performance improvements that have come with Core. Single file distribution and all kind of other exciting stuff that go along with that. So even though the C# that you write from a source code perspective, they look basically identical, but functionally and fundamentally they are 2 different WPFs. So just be aware of that if you're going to build an app. If you go to start a new WPF project, start it in .NET Core. Don't start it on the old stuff. But again, if you've got something that's an older .NET framework and you're thinking, should I update it? Well, the question really comes, how much more development are you going to be doing on the app? So if this is something where it's just kind of bug fix maintenance mode, maybe not a compelling reason to update it. If you're going to be doing a lot of work and feature development on it, well, it may be worth kind of weighing the pros and cons of what it's going to cost to do an upgrade. So just be aware of that. It does also mean evaluating your dependencies as well. There is a dependency checker tool that will tell you how .NET Core compatible your app is. Basically walks through all of the code that you're using, and then also your third-party libraries and anything that is or walks through all your NuGets looking to see what they support. So if all your dependencies are already supporting .NET Core, you're good to go. Easy upgrade. Shouldn't be too painful. The problems come is, some libraries haven't updated, some aren't going to be core compatible, etc. The last thing that's worth knowing is even though that this is running on .NET Core and .NET Core is cross-platform, this doesn't make WPF cross-platform. So it's just running and getting the performance benefits of .NET Core. It doesn't all of a sudden make your WPF app run on a Mac. So be aware of that. It is still only a Windows-only thick client architecture. So if you want something that runs on a Mac, Xamarin for Mac would probably be your best bet to look at there, as far as getting some code sharing and that kind of stuff and being able to build out. And I believe, I haven't heard talk of it for a while, but at one point in time, the Xamarin team was threatening GTK renderers, effectively allowing you to take your Xamarin Forms app and run it over on Linux as well. I haven't heard about that in a while. Last I heard it was like preview, maybe? I don't remember. So it's been a little while. I don't know what is going on with that. I don't know how many people are actually interested in porting something over that would run across that many platforms. Because with Xamarin Forms, you get a huge amount of code sharing across the various target platforms. I've built a bunch of Xamarin Forms apps, and the claims that you easily get 95+% shared code is 100% true. You can share a ridiculous amount of code between your platforms with Xamarin Forms, and it's not a bad thing either. It feels like a native app on both Android and iOS. They do a wonderful job. So let's see, we've got a data grid. Boom, boom. So what was the, okay, so now I'm trying to remember. Let's see. It's primary added, but it was also, the tab control currently has the same issue as the toggle switch and the button on this tab. They only show the color for the design after it was changed in the palette. Also note the checkboxes and then the combo boxes in the data grid don't appear to pick up the thing in material design. Got it. So those need to be fixed. Perfect. Okay. So I agree with it. However, this does move things forward, and I think I want to take this in. Great. Understand issues, but this does help move us forward in testing with apps. So I am merging as is for now. We'll probably make some improvements on this, but this at least gets us closer. Squash merge. Okay, and we might come back and deal with some of those in a little bit. I want to make sure it didn't close the issue, because I think some of this is getting the it did close the issue. Let's see. Let's reopen issue. Okay, because I do want this guy to be, I think I want to leave this open as a reminder to go back and merged in the current work for the data grid. The control now exists in the demo app, but there are some some issues as outlined in, and I don't remember the pull request number, 1348. Boom. Comment. And poof, done. Okay, let's go through and break some stuff, because I haven't broken anything yet today. I think let's go through and I think in the interest of breaking stuff, let's see, milestones. I think I'm going to start going through and doing some of the breaking changes just to get these guys um, in and done. So let's get master pulled up on the latest and boom, boom, boom. So that has that. This feels like a productive evening. We've just been merging all kinds of stuff. Merging stuff left and right. That's what we like. Progress, progress, progress. Okay, so we're going to just do dialog closing event args content. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go and just whack this guy. I believe most of these obsolete guys have been in for a while. Some people really don't like the obsolete attribute because if you have warnings as errors turned on, it effectively adds a compile error to somebody's code. However, I don't like just straight up breaking changes when there's um, backwards compatibility involved. So I'm going to just update that comment real quick because this is ultimately going to get turned into some of the release notes. Let's see. Remove. Use instead. Let's see. Code block. Something like that. Something like that. Something like that. Update comment. Okay. So no references. Easy whack. Easy whack. Okay, so that should take care of that one. Remove unused dialog closing event args constructors. Okay. Let's see here. So some of these guys are apparently not being referenced anymore. Which ones are they? Come on. Okay. Code Lens, you are failing me. So I really like it when you show me these. Constructors never used. Thank you, Resharper. You have saved me. Okay, so that goes away. That goes away. Closing event args. Poof, poof, poof. We've got cancel. Parameter session. Great. Those ones are now unused. Let's see. Material design combo box column. Let's just change all the things while we're at it. Material design combo box column. So this is going to get interesting here from a C# perspective. Let's see, rename usages. What? Why does that exist in? Oh, these are string literals. So that one's auto-generated from show me the XAML, so I don't care about that. This is in a generated file, so I definitely don't care about that. So we're just going to ignore those string literals. Go, Resharper, go. Rename all the things for me. Great. No, I think those already did get renamed for me, Visual Studio. I appreciate you asking, though. I appreciate you asking. Good, and Git shows it as just a rename, not a a delete and an add. Sometimes if you make changes in the file, Git gets very confused, but thank goodness that is fixed. Okay, next on the chopping block. That's done, that's done, that's done. Obsolete members and smart hint. Okay. So do be aware that this does mean that for people running on the preview NuGet package, breaking changes are coming. So content empty name, content not empty name. Let's see. These guys must be unused. Just gonna confirm that. I realize they've been flagged as obsolete, but what this should mean is that there is nothing in the template using these names. Thinking. Probably look it up just as quick. Since I realize that's looking across all the files, and I really only care to look in one. Because it's really just content empty and content not empty are the two that we care about. Yep. And so don't exist there. Don't exist there. So the caveat to this being that if you're doing something with them, you're now broken. But the control itself isn't doing anything with them, so it doesn't make a big difference. Oh, while we're in here, let's just add some pattern matching. Clean that up. Clean it up. Let's see, what are you squawking about? Oh, dispatcher potentially null. Yeah. Yep, it might be. Not gonna address that right now. Okay, so there's that. Palette helper methods. Let's go and get rid of those too. What? Did we whack the palette helper already? Let's see. Nope, spelling just matters. So these ones are going to be interesting because I believe this is going to, these are still in use by the demo app, which means we will have to, ooh, no, it's in use by unit tests that need to go away and replace palette is interesting. Maybe we already fixed the well, let's just start whacking them. If the demo app's going to break, we'll know in a minute. So maybe we already updated all of these. Something in the back of my head is making me think that I did it on a live stream. I can never remember if that was the demo app or something else. So let's see, that means this is gone. And palette helper becomes get theme, set theme. As it should be. Simple, straightforward, not a lot of complexity needs to be here. Let's just do a compile real quick and make sure we haven't lost anything valuable. At some point I need to take a look at the compile times and see if there's anything I can do to speed these up, because it would be nice if this ran a teeny bit faster. I realize it's doing multi-targeting and it's having to compile multiple things. Part of me wants to change it up so that on debug mode it only compiles one, but then the question is, do you only compile the core, the framework side? Like, I kind of want both. I want to know if I break both. Yeah, I can't decide. Okay, well that's thinking about it. Let's look up our next. Let's find our next one. Pop-up mode to click. on pop-up box. So I believe that's going to be here. Themes, pop-up box. So let's see here. That's pop-up box button. Pop-up mode. I don't see a multi-floating action pop-up. So there is a question on, let's see, pop-up box. The thing is, this one has a key. What is the default? What is the default pop-up box template? Because this one, I can see leaving it. We'll see. But let's check out the pop-up box. Pop-up box, password box. Ooh. Nope. Oh, these. We only broke the unit tests. Perfect. And I know I'm going to fix these unit tests. These are not useful unit tests. We're just going to get rid of them. And I believe down here we are going to go one step further. And I'm going to remove those references as well. I don't think we are using any of the mocking libraries anywhere in here. And I think that's okay. I don't see a huge need for the mocking libraries in this project. Currently, they were only being used to effectively assert that the palette helper would work with various mocking libraries. Let's see, what do you? Oh, look at that! Analyzer for the win. Come on, give me your analyze. Don't think too hard. I'm pretty sure you want to suggest that I do assert false. There's my light bulb. Use assert false, which I believe it's the same suggestion here. Oh, I guess assert true in this case. Great. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so there's that. Great. Yeah, so we aren't using any of the mocking libraries, so I'm taking those out. They do not need to be there, because a unit test that asserts that the mocking library works as it's designed is not our job. So pop-up box defaults, mouse over eager. So let's go. Let's start with the pop-up box itself. And let's look at pop-up mode, pop-up content, content template. Is pop-up open, stays open. Placement mode, pop-up mode. That's what I'm looking for. So name of default of pop-up mode, which I think, okay, so the default is going to be click, which is fine. So then the question becomes, why are you set to overeager? So what we want to look at is defaults and LMNO P. There's not one set there, so it must be set here. Let's see. X key, X key. X key, X key, X key. Where is the default one? set up at the oh, I'm gonna fix the spelling error while I'm in here real quick. T-I-O-N. Okay, there's that. For anyone interested, that was ReSharper's built-in respeller, picking up that spelling mistake. So, and that's just British English. I don't care as much about that. Okay, so the question comes. Let's see, pop-up box. This should be the default one. What's interesting to me is this doesn't appear to be this way anymore. Why am I feeling confused? I expected to see pop-up mode. So there's pop-up mode there. Set to mouse over eager. And this guy, we've got some data triggers watching for it and changing. Action pop-up box. Interesting. So it really only is this one. So let's go back to the demo app then, because now I'm curious. I want to make sure that I know exactly. Set a startup object. I assume this guy must be picking this up. I'm going to actually reject this change. I know I'm the one who put it in, but upon looking at it closer, I'm going to change it. Going to change it. What is the... Is it just... Is that it? I don't remember the marked in syntax for strikeout. You know what? Deletion works just as well. Update comment. Okay, so Flipper and Card changing their default vertical alignment. So let's start with Card because C. Vertical alignment stretch, which I believe I don't need to do because that is the default of a content control. So we're just going to whack it. And Flipper. So this one I'm actually interested in checking because the Flipper uses the WPF 3D stuff, and so there's a very real, it's not being used, go ahead and kill it. There's a very real chance that this may not work quite right, simply because it has to do some measuring of the control, and it really, really, really wants a fixed size. So we're going to test this real quick and verify that this works, and then I think we'll just do this massive commit that breaks a whole bunch of stuff. I will want to leave this open because the one thing we haven't gotten to yet is building and testing out this one here, because this is a very good change, and apparently several other people agree. So we're going to, this will need to get fixed, but at least we can check off a bunch of these items, which will be nice. Okay, fire this up and let's take a look at this, and then we'll have quite a few changes in this next preview release. So anybody who's grabbing .NET Core 3 stuff, make sure you're on the preview NuGet package. Do be aware the MA app support is still not in. I'm sort of dragging my feet, sort of hoping that they release their 2.0 stuff soonish. That way I can then follow close on their heels with the integration library and just kick this whole 3.0 release out the door at the same time or close behind them. That is sort of my goal. But if you just want to use the material design in XAML library proper without MAApps, it should work just fine on .NET Core. This demo app is actually now using .NET Core itself. So, huzzah. That's sort of proof. Proof is in the pudding that this thing, it does work. Okay, so let's go. We got some verification to do real quick. So, let's see. Buttons, toggles, fields, pickers, chips, cards. Okay, so this, that was a little interesting. Kind of want to come back and try that again. So the flipper is clearly working fine, and the card works fine, which the card I'm not exactly shocked at. It's the flipper that worries me, and I kind of want to go back and see if that really did work. Let's see if we just back out and back in. I'm trying to remember how this thing does its layout. Oop, wrong click. Let's try that again. You get smaller down there. Yeah, so you need an so this one here. So this is one of those things, because this guy is now allowing himself to stretch to fill the size. He's not sizing down to his content, he's sizing up to his container, which is a little more normal for a WPF control. This guy here on the demo app is going to need one. So which control is this? Resizing flipper, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's see. If we open up this guy, we go cards. Should just be able to go resizing. Let's see. Flipper. Vertical alignment. It's top. That should fix it. Great. That seems much better. So now they will size to their content appropriately. Great. Okay. And so if you do have a flipper that you're relying on the default of vertical alignment, if you don't like the new default of stretch, just set it back to top. You'll go back to normal, or at least back to where you were. And that should fix that. While we are in here, let's test a couple more things. So that was the cards and the flipper. Let's take a look at the snack bar. Snack bar. And example 7 was the one with the timing. So for 5 seconds. Thinking. Okay, that felt like 5-ish seconds. Let's go 1 second. Hey, works like a champ. Works like a champ. That was awesome. Okay, here. So that was the snack bar duration one. Scroll bars to expander control. So I don't know if the demo app is actually going to show this one off. Ooh. Interesting. So this This we probably want to address a little bit. So while we're in here, we're just changing everything. So let's keep going. These text blocks is text wrapping wrap. Let's see. I think what you can do is scroll viewer, horizontal scroll bar visibility disabled. I think. Is that? So we might need to do a little adjustment down here. So let's go back. That is probably just not propagating. Change that, change that. So that does sort of break our demo here. And I'm guessing a few other things. So material design, expander. Scroll viewer. So I think what I'm going to do, because this was both of these were set to auto, yeah. So I think what we're going to do is setter property here. Let's kill it. Let's kill execution. That's just going to annoy me with all the squiggles. Let's see. Scroll viewer, horizontal scroll bar visibility, value auto, and then same for vertical. Vertical, great. That works, that works. What are you squawking about? Nothing? Great. And then this guy down here, let's just clean up some white space. While we're in here, we'll just clean this all up. Boom, done. Let's see here. So once again, template bindings don't work with attached properties, so you have to do a normal binding with a relative source of templated parent. Let's see, relative source, templated parent, and the whole reason is so that you can actually do the path binding appropriately. So scroll viewer dot, let's see, this one's going to be vertical scroll bar visibility. And I am wondering about those defaults of auto on both of them. I'm wondering if the default should change based upon the orientation. So if the expander's opening down, don't have the scroll bar in both directions. So horizontal. So might be worth testing. I'll probably poke at what the default WPF expander does, just to see what that behavior is, and then use it as probably correct enough, or at least correct enough as far as what people expect. Because our expander control is a little weird in what it's doing. It's got some fancy animation stuff so that it slides and the content fades in and out as it's going up and down and all that fancy jazz. But it's also doing it by manipulating the positions of items inside of a dock panel, which is great because it does let the layout work as you'd expect. Let's see if this at least gets us close, because I really don't want to, on the expanders demo, I don't want to have to come in here and effectively set a width up on these guys. It just feels yucky. Because you could go through and bind the width of this text block to the width of the expander, but that feels wrong. And I'd be a little shocked if that's the way the expander worked on the default control. I suspect what it is that only the scroll bar that's in line with the expand direction is set to auto. And so we might need to add some setters for that. Let's see here. Expanders. At some point, I'm somewhat tempted to alphabetize this just to make my life easy. So that now works the way I expect. So it disables the scroll bar visibility and doesn't, necessarily do this. So I'm also thinking that scroll bar visibility should be disabled until expanded. So there's that going on as well. Because, so what's going on right now? Let's see. So okay. So something is a little off on this. Okay, so on expanded, changes the opacity of the part content, which is, I assume, the content control. Let's see, part content, which is the content control. Let's just do this. Unindent. Thanks. That sets the visibility of it as well, and I'm wondering if this needs to be bumped up a level. Thinking it does. Let's see, math, multiplication converter. This height is changing based on this guy. So basically, as the opacity changes, it's being used as a scaling factor on the height, which is a nice, clever trick. Same with the width. So effectively, as it goes from transparent to opaque, that percentage scales out the width and the height, which is really kind of clever. But I think there's a fundamental problem here in that these guys here really should change the scroll viewer itself. That is intriguing. Okay, so we are going to, let's see here. WPF default. Might even just go look at the .NET Core one on GitHub. Control styles and templates. Let's take a look at this guy and see where, because I'm guessing this one must have control styles and templates. Show me the expander. Now, it's worth knowing these ones out here are being put forward as samples, not necessarily this is what the actual ones are. However, these are pretty good samples. So they're usually very close to what the real ones are. So let's see, style expander, border, grid, toggle button, content presenter, header. Wait, what? Property height, desired height. Interesting. Oh, there it is. The competent presenter is inside of a border. Okay, great. So this is the actual content here. We've got a grid with 2 column definitions, which means this is one that's going to expand horizontally to the right. Toggle button to switch it, and then a content presenter to hold the content there. Oh, I gotcha. This is probably only showing 1 out of 4. I gotcha. Okay, so this is not helpful in that I don't even see a scroll viewer. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this. WPF GitHub. Just let's go find it. I think it's like .NET WPF. Yeah, that one. And let's just look at what the .NET Core template looks like for the expander control, because there's clearly something there. I've only poked in this library a little bit, so I'm not 100% confident where I'm going, despite the fact that I'm clicking nice and quick. Let's see. Presentation UI. Themes. Classic. I'm a little surprised that all of these are just kind of loaded up with these. Like, I expected to find a lot more XAML files, not just large blocks of them. That is clearly not it. I should have looked real quick. I think there was merged dictionaries in there. That might provide a clue of where I need to look next to see where. Let's see, resource dictionary, blah blah blah, solid color brush, solid color brush. Nope. Literally nothing fancy. Okay, now we've got lots of stuff. So let's just start with this. Is there an expander? Given that it's still loading, it's kind of hard to tell. This is one monster of a file. Come on. Let me horizontal scroll. Oh boy. This is one massive file. So it may very well be in here. And if it ever finishes loading, there, that's a little better. Don't think too hard. I literally just want the content. Let's see here, digital signature. Oh boy, oh boy. So let's see, component resource target, blah blah blah. Sticky notes control. This is not quite what we're looking for. Let's see. Our light normal color. This doesn't quite feel like what I would expect. This is. Let's just try this. Expander. Let's just hunt this guy this way. This might be a quicker path to victory. Okay, so only 13 files. Yeah, this is going to be a smaller one. Themes XAML expander. Okay, this looks like it's probably the guy. This is more of what I was expecting to find. Okay, so let's take a look and see how they did it. Because the default one clearly has a scroll viewer in it somewhere. Header style. So this one we should be able to just search. Really? No scroll viewer. Interesting. Does that mean you're hosting something else perhaps that has it? Interesting, interesting, interesting. Up header style. Left header style. well, regardless, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back over to the issues. I'm going to pop the issue back open with a comment. Uh, and again, because these are preview releases, I'm not horribly concerned with it. Let's see. Issues closed. Visual tree. This was one that literally just got closed. It should be right in front of me. PR closed. Come on, I just did this. Okay. Let's see. $13.97. I don't know why I'm struggling to find this. $13.97. So back over here and this guy here fixes $13.97, which is the one that I actually want to double check. Let's see here. Expected behavior should be to expand the range. Let's see. Merged in current PR. There are some issues as outlined above. See the expander page on the demo app. Reopen a comment, and we'll leave that going. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to avoid checking in my current changes on the expander. We'll stage everything and then unstage the expander by itself. In this, so let's see. I will pop you out of my commit. I'll just do a quick flyby through all of these commits and make sure it is as expected. So that was there to get the resizing one working. This is the rename of the combo box column, dropping the mocking libraries from the unit test project, killing the unit tests we don't care about, better asserts, changing up the default ones to drop material from each of these. Great. Dialog closing event args, killing obsolete and unused members. Palette helper is now down to a teeny bitty API, which it should be. Pop-up box, spelling mistake, the implementation of the spelling mistake. Let's see, smart hint removed obsolete members, and then a little pattern matching just to make the code cooler. Removing the vertical alignment setter so it'll default to stretch. This we don't want, unstage file. This is a good reason I checked it. So this starts down the path of fixing some of the expander stuff. Okay, there. Let's see here. And I'm not sure this packet file is actually necessary. we're going to kick that out. Okay, so fixes many issues with, let's see, 1301. 1301. I think what we're going to do is I'm actually going to move this down. Breaking API changes. Let's see. Yeah, sure. It's 10 minutes longer than I was planning on streaming, so Cowboy can admit to master, and we'll make sure that the CI system works as expected. And it should push, and there should be a NuGet package, like I said, out in probably 4-ish hours now. Be aware there is that bug with the expander that's going out with this one, so that one will probably be pretty high on my to-do list to get addressed, but I'm going to leave that open there, and I've got the list. So let's see, check, 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 and check, and check. So a lot of those are done. And you did not auto-close my issue because I was careful in the way I phrased my commit message. So it should just work. And we will just verify that the build pipeline goes. So as long as this guy builds out and works, we should be in good shape. And the release pipeline will do its thing here in a little bit and push out the NuGets. Everybody can share in the wonderfulness that is this. Also, the material design icons, it looks like they slowed down. They had a big push for a while where they were updating icons. It felt like daily. But we've got an automatic pipeline that just goes out and pulls in the latest icons every night. It's great. So every so often I'll just see a pull request when I wake up in the morning from my pipeline saying, hey, there were new icons. Would you like to merge them? So those will be in the mix and on the way. So I'm going to leave this one open. With that, I'm going to sign off. If people are interested in the new .NET stuff, like I said, next week I think the plan is probably going to be turn on the nullable reference types in this project, because this project will always be using the latest and greatest C# features available. So just be aware that that will be coming down the pipe. So if you want to work on this library, there is an expectation that you'll be using Visual Studio 2019 with the latest SDKs, so that we can leverage all of the latest and greatest C# features. So with that, signing off. If anyone has anything else that they would like to see, shoot me a message, leave me a comment. Always like hearing what people like, what they don't like, that kind of thing. So with that, happy coding. Have a good night.